A very warm welcome to one and all. I welcome all of you to this webinar conducted by Law Insider on UCG NET approach for paper 1 with Ms. Priya Kumari. The National Eligibility Test (NET) is conducted on behalf of University Grants Commission (UCG) for determining the eligibility of Indian nationals for the eligibility of assistant professorship, junior research fellowship, or both for Indian universities and colleges. UCG NET is conducted twice every year. Awarding of junior research fellowship or eligibility for assistant professor depends on the aggregate performance of the candidate in paper 1 and paper 2 of UCG NET. Ms. Priya Kumari is currently a part of faculty for Jindal Global Law School. She graduated from the National University of Study and Research in Law. She also completed her LLM from NLU Jodhpur. Ms. Priya Kumari cleared her UCG NET JRF in December 2020. Furthermore, I would like to wholeheartedly thank Ms. Priya Kumari for sharing her valuable knowledge as an excellent speaker, guiding us law students regarding UCG NET JRF previously on Law Insider platform. A very warm welcome to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. That was a very warm welcome. Let me just start by sharing my screen. Okay. I'm unable to do so. Can you just check once? Yeah. Is this visible?
Yes, it is visible.
Okay. So, hi, everybody. My name is Priya Kumari, and I'll be dealing with the first part of UGC NET, or paper 1, or general paper as it is called. So I'll begin by stating what is paper 1 all about and why is it so important in UGC NET. So first of all, you need to understand that UGC NET, as already stated, is an examination for becoming an assistant professor or for pursuing PhD via the junior research fellowship path. So while becoming a professor, you determine one's field. That is, you can give your UGC NET examination only after you have completed your master's. So master's will be in one specific field, and thereby UGC NET is conducted in around 80 different subjects. But the paper 1 or the general paper remains the same for everyone out there. So it becomes important to understand how to score marks in paper 1 because it is a subject for everyone, whosoever is appearing for the examination. So let me first begin by stating what are the chapters in paper 1. So if you see the first part of paper 1, you will understand that there are 10 chapters included in it. And by 10 chapters, I mean those 10 chapters is really important for everyone who is trying to become a professor or a lecturer anywhere around, because it begins with very basic subjects like research and teaching aptitude. So one by one, I'll state the chapters names and what are the main parts of it or the main contents of it, so that you can approach it through the same. Now, the first chapter and the very important, or I can say the most important one out there, is teaching aptitude. So teaching aptitude, via teaching aptitude, what do you understand? Everybody is so confused about it because the term teaching aptitude, or how can anybody understand what is the aptitude of a teacher, because it differs from place to place and also from schools to universities and even in other educational institutions. But one basic thing is that the concept came from the concept of gurus, as we used to follow, or an ideal teacher. And teaching aptitude is only about that. They basically ask you questions about how an ideal teacher would react in a particular situation. Think about the ideal teacher you have in a mind and answer accordingly. This is a tricky part of teaching aptitude. They'll ask you questions like, if there is a, for instance, if there is noise in the classroom, what would a teacher do? You can get a question as general as that, and be sure that you won't get easy options to that, because the answers would be so general and so similar to each other that you'll end up thinking that every answer seems correct, but there will be only one, and you lose 2 marks there itself. So this is the trick. So first of all, you need to understand that paper 1 has 10 different subjects with 5 questions coming from each of the chapter. That makes 50 questions of 2 marks each. Fine. The first chapter begins with teaching aptitude. So you will have to understand, and how to start is to understand the basic concept of teaching. What are the objectives of teaching? Now, there are levels of teaching characteristics involved, and there are various persons who have given theories of teaching characteristics. And you have to remember their names as well as what characteristics they were talking about, because this becomes very important, as these becomes the parameters of teaching. Even if you undergo some teacher training programs, they will make you understand that how does this teaching, characteristics came into picture. So as a person who is trying to become a teacher or a lecturer out there, it becomes really important. So you need to understand those teaching characteristics as well. Now you'll also have to understand the learner's characteristics, because the work of the teacher does not end up only with teaching. It is not a one-sided communication. It is also a one wherein the teacher has to understand what the learner wants, what is the ideal classroom situation, and that will only occur when the learner is able to understand what the teacher is saying. So you'll also have to understand the characteristics of the learner. Maybe the learner is an adult. He won't understand anything if you try to teach that person in a traditional classroom setup, because he's an adult. He does not have time. Maybe he needs flexible timings, or he needs to learn about those things which he can put in practice immediately, unlike a student who has just been started going to school. He needs to understand the basics first, or he needs to understand what alphabets are, unlike the adult who is already working. Maybe that person might need vocational training or hands-on training, right? So you will also have to understand what the learner characteristics are. Then you will have to understand what are the methods of teaching. There are various methods of teaching. For instance, there are classroom teaching, traditional classroom teaching. There are on workshop trainings. Then there are online classrooms. There are combination of various classrooms. For instance, nowadays when finally the universities are opening up, they're giving the students an option of hybrid teaching mode, wherein either you can study online or go to the college campus and study there as well. So what is being done there is, it is recorded, as well as the teacher is also there speaking in the class, right? So this is hybrid mode of teaching. There are various forms of teaching. You will have to understand that and the differences between them. Fine. Then there are various teaching aids, because if a teacher comes into the classroom with just his body and with no pen or no additional equipments or books per se instance, and there is no blackboard or whiteboard or even a presentation board there, it becomes very difficult to understand. Say for instance, this situation, if I had been speaking something without the presence of a presentation over here, anybody listening to me would get so confused at one point of time, or it becomes so monotonous that the person will stop listening and nothing will go inside his or her head. So there are various teaching aids to make teaching possible, right? So you will have to understand about those teaching aids as well. Also, there are various evaluation systems, because if you have been, for instance, if I have been to ICSE, they follow another format of evaluation, whereas the CBSE boards or the state boards might be following a different form of evaluation, right? So you'll have to understand those evaluation systems. There are various forms of it. For instance, formative assessment techniques, and there are summative techniques of evaluation. There are various other modes. You will have to understand that, because every assessment technique does not take place at the same time. It can be diagnostic in nature, for instance. That is, if the student is making a particular mistake, for example, if my student is weak in maths, I'll try to teach him more about mathematics because he is weak in it, right? So this is a diagnostic form of assessment. I understood that my student is weak in a particular subject, so I'll try to help him or her in that particular subject, right? It can also begin by some form of evaluation takes place at the beginning of the course, so as to know whether or not that particular person is inclined towards taking that course, right? Or is interested in it or knows about it. So it becomes easier for a teacher to draw a line that the student has some idea about the course, whereas the second student does not know anything about the course. So while teaching, the second student would be taught the basics as well, while the other student would say be handled with the assignment itself, because these are two other learners, two different learners with different requirements, right? So these are the basics of teaching aptitude. Now once you start reading teaching aptitude, it becomes tough at one point of time, because there are various names to remember. Okay, various characteristics to remember. But remember, there are 5 questions asked from teaching aptitude, right? So a maximum of 1 to 2 questions would be asking the names of a person or sets of person who has given, say, talked about a learner's characteristics or a teaching characteristic. Otherwise, most of the questions are based on the situation, as I mentioned earlier. Like, what would an ideal teacher do in particular situation, or what would you as a teacher do in this particular situation, or what do you think is a teacher's characteristic, or what do you think is a learner's characteristics? So it becomes easier. So focus on those parts first. Never avoid general basic things, because those basic things are asked most, or are being repeated every year. So never ignore those type of questions, right? Now moving ahead, the second chapter is research aptitude. Research aptitude is highly essential in any profession nowadays, whether it be teaching, whether it be law firms, whether it be litigation. You can never avoid research wherever you are, or you are simply a student. Even a first year law student can never say that I don't want to undergo research or do research, because it is the lifeline of law. And even if I'm talking about other subjects nowadays, if you want to become an assistant professor or want to pursue a PhD, you need to know the ABC of research, right? Now, this is an added advantage, because when you pursue your master's, most of the courses already have a research methodology paper. Especially law students, if you are pursuing your master's, you will already have a paper called research methodology for sure. All the major institutions have it. So if you are trying to give net in the coming year, especially the master students, please focus on that paper, because it is easy, first of all, and everything is already taught. It will only be a kind of revision when you come to paper 1 and chapter 2 of it, right? So please focus on research methodology part. It is very simple, very simple. You just need to focus through your master's days, right? Now, it is very basic questions like methods of research and what are the types of research. Everybody knows that there are qualitative and quantitative kinds of research. Okay, then how do you take a qualitative research? You go on to take some questionnaires or prepare an interview schedule. Or quantitative, you use some statistics or data which you collect either empirically or which is already available. So there are 2 types of sources of research. For instance, there are primary sources, right, where you go and attain the first-hand information, whereas secondary sources is something which is already available, or the already available literature on that particular subject. Now, if you cover this part now, then you will find it easier to pursue your PhD as well, because when you will give your PhD vivas and thereby enter into your PhD coursework schedule, you will find that research questions are the most asked there as well. So if you study one subject. Focus on one subject in your masters that will cover one part of your net examination, one part of your PhD coursework as well. So focus on research aptitude. Now, the third chapter, it's reading comprehension. This is the easiest part of paper one and highly scoring. When I say comprehension, it simply means passages, which you have been already writing since, I think, school days. Solving it is basically a passage, and you will be asked 5 questions from that passage itself. You just have to focus on the passage, the wordings of the passage. Obviously, it sometimes the tense might be changed or some questions would be flipped in a manner, but it would be connected to the passage. And you as a student, you have studied, like, you have had 12 years of school education and then 5 to 7 years of bachelor's and master's degree. So you know how to read passages and pick up the most important parts of it, right? So focus on the questions, and please focus on these questions, because if you make any question of reading comprehension incorrect, God only save you. I mean, how will you even focus on the other chapters? So never avoid this chapter, and you do not even have to solve it. It's just that when the examination date is up, you can take up 1 to 2 comprehension each day, like 10 days prior to the examination, and just tick or correct the answers. That's it. That's all you have to do for reading comprehension. And yes, for basic things, if the passage might be long, it might take some of your time. So you will have to be a reader for that. You do not have to read a passage for becoming a reader. You can even read a novel or your favorite book or an academic, curriculum book which you like or which you feel can enhance your reading ability. Please maintain a reading habit, because passages are long and it will take some of your time, but you cannot give most of your time to paper one, because there are 100 questions of your own paper which you will be solving in the 3 hours time given itself, right? So do not spend too much of time on reading comprehension just because it is a long thing. Now, coming to unit 4 or chapter 4, it is communication. Now, communication, when you start reading, it becomes boring. When I was reading it, definitely felt so, because it is mostly based on what theories have come up, who are the writers or the authors who have said so and so things about communication, but it becomes a very integral part of any type of teaching. If there is no communication, if the person is not able to communicate properly, nobody will listen, and teaching will have no consequence, right? There would be no outcome or positive outcome of it. So yes, you need to understand communication, but when you read the chapter, there is more of a theoretical part of communication than a practical part of it. So I would suggest that go for this chapter when you have finished all the basic chapters, for instance, teaching aptitude, research aptitude, as well as comprehension. Or even when, if you find it boring still, then you can go on with other chapters. Keep some chapters for the last, which you find it difficult, or if you are the kind of student who wants to finish the difficult part first, please complete communication in the beginning itself, because you won't be able to gather courage to read it thereafter. Now there are various things in communication. It's very simple actually. It talks about effective means of communication, mass media technology, or the various forms of growing types of communication. It talks about that, and it is simple. It is very simple, but it also includes, as I mentioned earlier, the names of the authors or the names of the theorists who give such and such theory of communication. So you will have to remember those names. If you come across a name, please note it down. ठीक है, जैसे if you are reading a particular communication technique and the person who said something about it, please write it down. Even if you do not learn it at the very first moment, keep it alongside it and prepare a code, a code or a cue for it, which will help you out to at least remember the first name or some part of it, so that when you see the 4 options out there, you can pick that person out just because of the cue you made. So this is the trick I followed for communication part. Okay. Now the next chapter is reasoning. Reasoning here is mathematical reasoning, and it is very simple. Again, a very scoring chapter. After comprehension, the most scoring chapter is mathematical reasoning. When you hear the term mathematics, when I heard about it first, I got so irritated because of the fact that I chose law merely because I had to leave mathematics. So there would be many students who would be frustrated by seeing this chapter. यार mathematical reasoning कैसे दे दिया, ठीक है? But let me tell you, it is so simple because it includes things like codes and series. Okay, and the questions are very simple, very simple. When I first saw the question, I was like, really, you asked this question after asking me a communication technique? You are asking me to solve a series question? How is this even possible? And then I understood, obviously they will have to balance it out. They cannot ask all the tough questions in one place, right? They will have to filter out or balance it out, whatever they are trying to do, right? So mathematical reasoning is one such part where you can gain the most marks. So again, if you are the kind of person who wants to pick up the easiest chapters first, go with mathematical reasoning, because comprehension you do not have to study. Trust me, comprehension is nothing to study about. You just need to pick up passages 5 to 10 days before your examination date and just solve 1 to 2 passages a day, just to see how is your reading ability first. Secondly, you are able to find out the answers to the questions asked or not. That is it. And pick up good books for that. Do not pick up books which have wrong answers, because when I say this, please note it down. Several of the books on UGC paper 1 has wrong answers in it. So if you are solving any question from any book out there, please, I'll suggest that Google it up. Twice check your answers, whether or not the answer given in the textbook is correct. Otherwise, you'll be following that answer and you'll write the same answer in the examination and you'll lose marks, right? Now comes logical reasoning, another very easy part, very simple part, that is logical reasoning. Everybody knows it. Those who, if you are from the law background, okay, so you would have studied it before giving your bachelor's examination or CLAT examination as well, because logical reasoning is asked everywhere. Even if you are not from the law background, if you have written any competitive examination to date, you would have faced a paper called logical reasoning. You cannot avoid it anywhere. And when I say logical reasoning, it includes the same thing: syllogism, arguments, ठीक है, यही सारी चीजें होती हैं उसमें. But again, there is a trick here. These are the Western forms of logical reasoning. Syllogism हो गया, Venn diagram हो गया. These are what the new forms of logical reasoning are. There is also a thing called Vedic or Hindu forms or Indian forms of logical reasoning, and that becomes tough because they say the same thing more or less like the logical reasoning we have read, but the terms they use is typical Hindu, either some script back out there, which used to be followed earlier, right, in Gurukuls and systems like that. So the terms remain the same. So what I suggest is, please complete the logical reasoning part, which you already know. Practice those parts, because if there are 5 questions, only one would be asked from the other part of logical reasoning, which that is the tougher part. So I would say focus on the logical reasoning, which you know, the syllogism, the Venn diagrams, the arguments part of it. Finish those, because कम से कम उससे 3 questions तो आ रहे हैं. 3 questions are definitely coming, and if you're lucky, there might be no questions from the other part of logical reasoning, because it has happened. That पांचों के पांचों questions have come from either arguments part of it or say syllogism part of it, right? But I have seen, मतलब maximum बार ये होता है कि you will find one question which belongs to the other form of logical reasoning. So you can leave that question. If you are opting like 4 questions, it's pretty good, right? But do not leave logical reasoning again. It is scoring. Now moving to data interpretation. This is the 7th chapter or the 7th unit of paper 1. So data interpretation, again, it's nothing. It's again basic simple mathematics. If you know ratio and proportion, if you know to multiply, divide, subtract, and add, you can solve data interpretation. Data interpretation, the people get scared of it, because you will find the numbers are given in huge digits, like they'll add millions or lakhs to it. and it seems like bulky that we won't be able to solve it. But you know that zeros, you can avoid those zeros. ठीक है, अगर 2 के बाद lakhs रख रखा है, तो you can avoid those zeros, right? You can take 2 as the number and then calculate and add zeros thereafter. Now, data interpretation is something, obviously you will be given a data, and then you will be asked to, either to find some ratio proportion ka technique, basic sa question पूछेंगे, या फिर they'll ask you about, say, average कितना आ रहा है. कुछ बच्चों के marks दे रखे हैं in some subjects, in 5 subjects, and they'll ask कि English में उन 5 बच्चों को कितने marks आए, average marks कितने आए, or what was the total marks of the examination, anything. These type of questions. I mean, it is very easy, but just because people see a table out there with numbers mentioned in lakhs or crores or millions, and they get scared and they leave that part. And trust me, this comes from a person who hates mathematics. Data interpretation was the one part where I scored 5 on 5, even when I did not even solve it before the examination as such. I did not, because I was also scared. I was like, I cannot solve it. It will waste my time, and the other parts of the paper 1 would be left out, right? So do not leave data interpretation as well. So the easiest chapters comes in this sequence. The first would be comprehension. Second would be reasoning, that is a mathematical reasoning. Third would be logical reasoning, the first part of it, which you know as the logical reasoning, not the Vedic part of it, right? Then comes data interpretation. Now the chapters left, that is unit 8, 9 and 10. Oh my god, these are the toughest, because these chapters have nothing in it, only theory. So if you are someone who preaches rote learning, these chapters are for you. It will become very easy for you to read those chapters, because you know how to indulge in rote learning. But for people like me, who basically go for creating stories out of everything or creating cues out of everything to solve a question, these chapters were the most difficult ones. Let me be very truthful about it. So how to go about these chapters? Now I'll say you a simple trick. When you pick up the chapter 8, that is ICT or Information and Communication Technology, if you pick up this chapter, you will find some basic things like what is the full form of www, right? Or who was the person who first used this thing? Or for instance, the basic, what is the full form of PDF and what does it do, right? Or what kind of formats you will find for a picture in your gallery. So you will find questions as simple as these two, right? But then there will be questions like what are the digital initiatives in higher education, and then you'll have to read all the initiatives used or formulated by the government till date, right? And then you will also have to study that how did computer came into existence, which was the year when it came into India, and how did government started applying it in governance, and how it became good governance and things like that, right? You'll also have to study these parts of it. So I would say, if you are a beginner, someone who does not know anything about ICT, so pick up a book. I will suggest KVS Madan, because KVS Madan is the, I think, best book out there for understanding the concepts. However, I have stated in my other video as well that never solve questions from it. Majority of the questions have wrong answers. So what you can do is you can pick up that book and start reading it, at least 5 pages a day. And if you are reading ICT, do not take up any other major subject. Like, do not go with people development or environment or teaching aptitude. Otherwise, it will get all bulky in your head, and you won't be able to understand. So what you can do is, if you are reading a chapter called ICT or Information and Communication Technology, you can go with solving passages or picking up a data interpretation question, right? Or if you are very confident about your paper 2, you can read something about your paper 2 or the favorite subject or the favorite chapter from your paper 2. Okay, you can do that. Again, ICT, अगर फिर भी you are not able to understand or how to proceed with it, what you can do is you can open up a YouTube video, any random YouTube video, just check that it is the most recent one uploaded for that particular chapter. Like if you are listening now, do not go for a video which is uploaded like a year ago, because there are various changes in it. And these chapters are those chapters जहाँ पे current affairs भी पूछे जाते हैं. So it is better to listen to a video which was uploaded 1 month ago. Again, do not listen to videos which do not go according to the syllabus mentioned in your chapter. If you type UGC NET examination, you will find the latest syllabus for every chapter mentioned in paper 1. So go accordingly or read accordingly. क्योंकि already subjects में बहुत सारी चीजें mentioned है. If you try to read more than that, you won't be able to cover anything. तो syllabus के according जो भी videos तुम्हें recent दिखें, you can go with that, right? This is how you go for ICT. Now, when it comes to Unit 9 and 10, Unit 9 talks about people, development, and environment. And this is the scariest chapter because they can include anything and everything under the sun, calling it either development scenario or environmental scenario or related to people. For instance, they can even ask you कि COVID-19 का vaccine किस देश ने पहली बारी बनाया था, because it is related to people. ठीक है? And it is also current affairs and people should know about it, right? ये हो गया. Now, environment में basic तो you know environment में if there is an Environment Protection Act, it will come under it. You cannot just say कि ये तो law का question हो गया. No, it is an environment matter. You should also know कि 1992 में Rio में Earth Summit हुआ था. You cannot again say that it is a law का matter, right? So you would have to know that. Again, I would suggest people development and environment. For people development and environment, you can listen to a video first, because in the videos only the current affairs are dealt with. In the recent videos, what they do is what I have seen on YouTube of some of people who have followers and subscribers. Please go for those videos. Okay, if you go for those videos, you will find one thing, that they deal with current affairs first. For instance, when I was preparing for my NET examination in 2020, what I found was when I typed people development and environment, there were various videos which were talking about vaccines and what is the condition of the nation and foreign countries in COVID-19 situation. So these were the topics I covered first, and it became interesting for me. And then to come up, ending up reading the book became easier for me, right? Because then I was able to connect कि हाँ ठीक है, अगर ये सारी चीजें जान रहे हैं वैक्सीन के बारे में, अगर हमें पता है तो ये सारी चीजें भी पता होनी चाहिए कि डेवलपमेंट क्या होता है, एनवायरमेंट से रिलेटेड क्या क्या लेजिस्लेशन है, आई शुड ऑल्सो नो दैट, राइट? सो इट बिकम्स वो एक सिचुएशन आ जाती है that you tend to understand that I, as a citizen of India, ठीक है, अब अगर I am trying to become a lecturer, I should at least know these basic things about my country or my country is trying to do. तो वो एक टाइप का आ जाता है if you listen the recent videos first or the recent current affairs first. And if you are a person who follows news daily, that will be a bonus for you. But again, ये मत सोचना कि just because you know the current affairs you'll be able to solve 5 questions of people development and environment. कभी कभी ऐसा भी कर देते हैं वो लोग कि current affairs से एक भी questions नहीं पूछे, ठीक है? They only stick to the syllabus mentioned. So the syllabus mentioned is something other, obviously, because it is made once, right? वो बन चुका है, वो इतने टाइम से चला आ रहा है ना? That is stagnant. थोड़े बहुत changes करते हैं. Current affairs तो recent है. So do not only read or listen to current affairs, but definitely read the syllabus. सब सुन लो, सारी चीजें अच्छी बात है, you know about everything. हो सकता है 1 से 2 questions भी आ जाए, लेकिन ऐसा हो सकता है कि कभी कभी बिल्कुल ही नहीं आए. तो you should be thorough with your syllabus also. Also नहीं, first. उसके बाद secondly कुछ भी आता है, ठीक है? Now comes the last chapter of it, that is higher education system. So the higher education system is again very problematic, ठीक है? क्योंकि then you will have to study कि हमारे यहाँ कितने इंस्टीट्यूशंस है हायर एजुकेशन में, और हायर एजुकेशन स्टार्ट कैसे हुआ हमारे यहाँ, ठीक है? फ्रॉम द टाइम शुरुआत से जब हमारे यहाँ वेस्टर्न एजुकेशन नहीं होता था, where there was Brahmanical and Vedic type of institutions established in India. You might know there were several higher education institutions जो कि आज लोग जानते हैं, for instance तक्षशिला, ठीक है, ये सारे तुम्हें जानना जरूरी है. It is a matter of fact that you should know because it is something an Indian should be very proud of. उस टाइम पे where universities was not a culture, even in the foreign nations, we had the largest universities, some of the largest universities in the whole wide world. So पता तो होना चाहिए, अच्छी बात है, but when you start reading about them, they will again start teaching you कि तक्षशिला यूनिवर्सिटी में कौन सी टाइप की एजुकेशन होती थी, कौन सा पैटर्न ऑफ एग्जामिनेशन फॉलो करते थे, ठीक है, which type of language was used to impart education, ये सारी चीजें बताने लग जाते हैं, ठीक है. तो it becomes difficult to remember, I know. So one thing you can do is when you are reading about a particular institution which used to exist before, you can just wrote it down, jot down some importance point of it, and do not make it a paragraph wise, just jot down the pointers, right? छोटे शब्दों में कि हाँ ठीक है, ब्राह्मणिकल फॉर्म ऑफ एजुकेशन अगर पढ़ रहे हो तो पाली में फॉर इंस्टेंस उनका जो मीडियम ऑफ इंस्ट्रक्शन था दैट वाज पाली, ठीक है, या फिर संस्कृत, लिए लिख लिया बस, मीडियम ऑफ एजुकेशन इंस्ट्रक्शन संस्कृत, राइट. देन विच टाइप, मतलब टाइप ऑफ एजुकेशन या फिर द चैप्टर्स और सब्जेक्ट्स कवर्ड, वो लिख लिया, ठीक है, इंपॉर्टेंट सब्जेक्ट्स लिख लिए, ऐसे करके यू कैन मेक बुलेट पॉइंट्स. सो व्हाट विल हैपन इज even when the chapter is very bulky, the higher education system is very bulky, what will happen is when you will be appearing for your examination a day before or some days before that, when you take up your notes book, you'll only find pointers of it. So वो थोड़ा सा brain को trick करेगा कि अरे ये तो बस इतना सा है, ठीक है, तो you will be able to read it out. अगर नहीं भी याद रहा तो कम से कम तुम्हारे पास एक तो फायदा है ना, that there is no negative marking in UGC NET. Secondly, if you find 4 options and you have read something about the same question, you will be able to pick up the option कि हाँ शायद ये कहीं पढ़ा था, ये तो कर सकते हो ना, तो you can do that for higher education part, right? Now, pattern of paper 1, as I mentioned, 10 chapters, 10 units हैं. From all the chapters, 5 questions will be asked for sure. अब ऐसा नहीं कि एक पैटर्न ही फॉलो करेगा, चैप्टर्स जिस तरह से दिए गए इन योर बुक डज नॉट मीन कि दे के 5 क्वेश्चंस देन दे लास्ट 5 क्वेश्चन, या. सो द पैटर्न इज 5 questions from each chapter. Now it can be spread throughout the paper, that is there will definitely be 50 questions from paper 1, 5 questions from each chapter. अब ऐसा हो सकता है कि कम्युनिकेशन का क्वेश्चन यू विल फाइंड बिलो द रिसर्च एप्टीट्यूड का या फिर आफ्टर आईसीटी का. पैटर्न नहीं भी अगर वो फॉलो कर रहे हैं ऑफ द यूनिट्स, दे विल डेफिनेटली बी आस्किंग 5 क्वेश्चंस पर पेपर. So if you're confident about one paper, be sure to solve all the questions from that paper. You'll understand कि communication से कौन पूछ रहा है. Data interpretation, for instance, they will obviously be asking all the 5 questions in one place itself, because that is data interpretation. They cannot just throw one graph here and one table there, right? And if they are asking mathematical reasoning, they will be definitely asking pattern ka question, series ka questions in one go. So solve those papers first. Comprehension, they'll definitely be asking all the questions in one place because that will belong to one passage itself. So solve these papers first because these will definitely fall into one place itself, right? Now, the most important thing is the time allocation part of paper 1. As I mentioned earlier, there is the 3 hour time period given to you, right, to solve the entire paper, which means 150 questions. The 50 questions will be from paper 1 and 100 questions will be from paper 2. That is your specific paper, right? So even if you are a law student, you will take time to solve 100 questions, right? Because it is a law question. It will not be as easy as कि भाई इस केस में क्या हुआ था, ठीक है, या फिर जस्टिस चंद्रचूड़ ने इस केस में क्या बोला था. It will not be as simple as that. What they do is they ask you questions like section 15 of Contract Act says, and what they'll do is they'll write the section और वो ABCD option में सारे के सारे options will sound very similar. So you'll have to give more time to your paper. and I'm pretty sure that goes for every paper out there, or every paper 2, or whatever stream for which you are appearing for UGC net, right? So solving 100 question is a task. You cannot play with that. So what I suggest is keep at least 1.5 hour for paper 2. And if you are able to make it 2 hours, then you are winning already, right? So what I suggested, what you can do is, a very simple trick for this or managing the time is, you can practice previous year question papers. Now previous year question papers, I'm pretty sure you won't find of paper 2, or even if you find, that won't be of much help, because if your paper 2 is laws keep on changing and the cases keep on changing. If they are asking something of the constitution, they will ask of the recent year. So the previous year question paper would not be very helpful, right? But paper 1, the pattern is same, the syllabus is same, है ना? थोड़े बहुत ही करंट अफेयर्स के क्वेश्चन आते हैं, otherwise the basic structure remains the same. Now what you can do is, before your examination, at least a month prior to it, when you are confident about paper 1, or at least 7 to 8 chapters of it you have covered and you're fully confident about it, and a month is still in your hand. So pick up previous year question papers. And solve it with a timer. This is what I did, and it was very helpful. See, when I began, it took me at least 1.5 hours to 1 hour 35 minutes to solve 50 questions, and I'm not even kidding. And it took me around 10 to 12 days to get rid of it, because dedicating like 1 hour 35 minutes to 1 hour 45 minutes to 50 questions is a joke in an examination which is only 3 hour long. And in that duration you have to solve 50 questions here and 100 questions there, right? So practice with the previous year question paper, set up a timer, and try to make it as low as 1 hour. And this will happen. I'm pretty sure this will happen for everyone, because it happened for me. और ये सिर्फ इसलिए हुआ था because wherever I was sitting in a with a bunch of my friends. They came at my home, or I was anywhere talking to anyone else. ठीक है, या फिर I was sitting idle. I just picked up a previous year question paper which is easily available on the internet. So you do not have that excuse कि आप previous year question papers कहाँ से लाएं, I'll have to buy another book for it. No, it's easily available on the internet. And ट्रिक सिर्फ इतनी है कि अगर तुम्हें आंसर्स में डाउट है तो सर्च ऑन द इंटरनेट. सर्च ऑन द इंटरनेट, यू विल फाइंड द आंसर्स फॉर एवरीथिंग. ठीक है. तो अगर तुम्हें इसमें दिक्कत हो रही है कि आंसर्स हो सकता है गलत है, तो एक बार बेसिक सर्च कर लो. डेटा इंटरप्रिटेशन वगैरह के तो आंसर्स गलत नहीं देंगे ना, वो तो आंसर एक ही होगा. ठीक है. तो ये डेफिनेटली करना है. इस वजह से फिर क्या होगा, I suggest please dedicate only 1 hour or maximum 1 hour 15 minutes to paper 1. That is it. Please take 5 minutes rest after that. That is preferable. But 1 hour to 1 hour 15 minutes is maximum for paper 1. अगर उससे ज्यादा टाइम लग रहा है, if you are taking more time in it, वहीं समझ जाओ दिक्कत आने वाली है. ठीक है. You will be facing problem in your own paper, right? Now, what is the importance and need of paper 1? So I have been saying repeatedly to all the students who have been approaching me that paper 1 is the one where you score marks. As simple as that. This is the only part where you can definitely score marks, because the previous year papers are helpful, because you already know the structure, you already know the syllabus, and those are fixed. Apart from some parts of it like people development and environment or ICT, there won't be any current affairs asked. There is a fixed syllabus और तुम्हें जानना क्या है. You only need to understand the basic concepts and keep on repeating it. Just repeat it and just practice it. बस यही trick है इसकी. So if there are 50 questions asked, I always tell all my students aim for at least 45 questions. नेगेटिव मार्किंग नहीं है तुम्हारे क्लैट जैसा, तो किसका डर है. Please attempt and please try to score at least 45 questions correctly, please. क्योंकि एक और ट्रिक होती है, इसीलिए आई ऑलवेज से इम्पोर्टेंस ऑफ पेपर 1. क्योंकि यूजीसी नेट का अगर इफ यू चेक आउट द पैटर्न, it is something like that. You have to have 40% in both the papers to qualify, right? If you have 40% in both the papers, your basic qualification for UGC net is done. But then the cutoff marks comes, right? 40% पे सारे बच्चे पास होते थे ना क्लास में, बट टॉपर तो वो 90% वाला ही होता था, है ना? तो जो वो 90% वाला बच्चा है ना, UGC net will declare the list according to that 90% वाला बच्चा. If somebody is getting, for instance, 70%, so 70% से लेकर 30-40 seats होती हैं जूनियर रिसर्च फेलोशिप की. The 30-40 students after that 70% वाला बच्चा will be the junior research fellows. After that, कितनी सीटें होती हैं, मिनिमम जितनी भी सीट है उतनी फुलफिल करी, दैट इज द नेट कट ऑफ, राइट? दिस इज द वे दे टेक आउट अ लिस्ट. नाउ व्हाट इज द ट्रिक इन हियर? 40% के बाद ना तुम्हें अपने पेपर में कितना भी कम मार्क्स आए, तुमने 50 के 50 क्वेश्चंस कर दिए सही पेपर 1 के, राइट? यू स्कोर्ड 100 देयर itself. Nobody is going to tell you that you scored less marks in paper 2 and therefore you are not qualified. You qualified the moment you got 40% marks in your paper 2. Even if you score a little less in your paper 2 after that, but score more in paper 1, the combined effect would be you will fall in that net qualified or net cutoff wala category, right? So you can play the trick here, you can be smart here, and you can be confident in paper 1. Therefore I always say कि जहां स्कोर होता है वो तो सिर्फ पेपर 1 है, पेपर 2 हर साल बदलेगा, स्पेशली इफ यू आर अ लॉ स्टूडेंट. कोई केस आया, पिछला केस को ओवररूल करके चला गया, एंड यू प्रैक्टिस द प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चन पेपर, उसमें वो ओवररूल्ड केस का जजमेंट था. व्हाट इज द यूज? विल यू बी एबल टू आंसर द करेक्ट आंसर? कर पाओगे? नहीं कर पाओगे, हो गया क्वेश्चन गलत. तो फोकस ऑन पेपर 1. The essentiality I already mentioned, क्योंकि यही तरीका है to get into that UGC net वाले list में, cut off वाले list को cross करना. And I always say that do not aim only for assistant professorship, go for junior research fellowship, because when you qualify for junior professorship, junior research fellowship, you are already qualified for becoming an assistant professor, क्योंकि JRF की जो कट ऑफ होती है वो ऊपर होती है. फॉर इंस्टेंस if the JRF cutoff is 70%, the net cutoff will be something like 65 or 66%. It will always be lower than that. So if you have qualified for JRF, you will also be qualified for being an assistant professor. So aim for JRF, है ना? Start तुम ऐसे थोड़ी करते हो कि तुम्हें बहुत कुछ छोटा सा बनना है. लाइफ की गोल तो तुम सेट करते हो बहुत बड़ी ना, है ना? You set something like I want to earn or become the richest man of the world. तो जा करके you become something like a person जो कि who is earning in lakhs, right? If you aim, कि शुरुआत ही एम करिए एकदम छोटे तरीके से कि नहीं यार मैं ना सिर्फ असिस्टेंट प्रोफेसर के लिए आई फोकस एंड आई नॉट थिंक ऑफ JRF, कि वो बहुत टफ हो जाएगा यार, और फिर एडिशनल उतना परसेंट लाना पड़ेगा और स्कोर करना पड़ेगा, it will become very difficult. No, do not go with that attitude. Aim for JRF and you will be able to do that. Just focus on paper 1 first and then go on to your paper 2. और अपना पेपर है यार पेपर 2. अगर if you are studying, for instance, if you are a law student for like 6 to 7 years now, तो ऐसा है कि कुछ तो पेपर्स होंगे you will be very confident about, ठीक है? तो वो तुम्हारा टाइम कम कंज्यूम करेगा. बट पेपर 1 के मैक्सिमम पेपर्स तुमने आज तक पढ़े नहीं होंगे. आई एम प्रीटी श्योर अबाउट दैट. Nobody studies research methodology even in the master's days, ठीक है? नहीं पढ़ते हैं लोग. Even if I am saying it repeatedly here, there will be majority of the people who would have not studied research methodology properly. अरे ये सब्जेक्ट कौन पढ़ता है, ये तो ऐसे ही मार्क्स स्कोर कर देता है. बट नेट में मार्क्स ऐसे ही नहीं आते, राइट? सो you can study now. If you are studying something for the first time, focus on that thing first. Side by side तुम अपना paper 2 भी पढ़ते रहो, right? How can you achieve that? सबसे पहला trick, सबसे पहले concepts clear करो. You do not know about the concepts. You do not know about ICT. मान लो ये चीज, ठीक है, just because you know the full form of www to be world wide web, you do not know anything about ICT. ठीक है, और you know कि भैया एक टाइम पे हमारे यहाँ वैदिक एजुकेशन दी जाती थी, you do not know anything about the hierarchy of higher education that used to exist in India. ठीक है, मान लो पहले ये चीज that I do not know anything as of now. I will have to read it. And अच्छी बात है, पता है, लर्न करना कोई चीज को बहुत आसान होता है rather than starting with the unlearning process कि मुझे तो आता है ये चीज, oh no I know this thing, ठीक है, फिर it becomes very difficult. ठीक है, if you have accepted from the very beginning that I do not know this, ठीक है, ये चीज मुझे नहीं आती है, let me start from the very beginning. तो what you do is, तुम्हारा माइंड तुम्हें ट्रिक करता है कि तुम्हें कुछ नहीं आता ना, तो तुम एक स्ट्रक्चर फॉलो करो, और वो स्ट्रक्चर तुम्हें प्रोवाइडेड है, इट इज ऑलरेडी प्रोवाइडेड इन द सिलेबस पार्ट ऑफ इट. So what you have to do is just follow the procedure, just follow the syllabus that is given, उस अकॉर्डिंग पढ़ो. ठीक है, उसी अकॉर्डिंग नर्सरी का बच्चा एबीसी पढ़ता है ना. हर बच्चे को द फर्स्ट थिंग ही लर्न्स अबाउट एबीसी इज ए फॉर एप्पल. ठीक है, बिकॉज ही डज नॉट नो एनीथिंग अबाउट इट बिफोर दैट. तो उसके लिए वो बहुत बड़ी बात होती है टू नो दैट फ्रॉम ए वी कैन नो दैट इट इज द फर्स्ट वर्ड और लेटर ऑफ एप्पल, राइट. तो इसी तरह यू कैन ऑल्सो डू. ठीक है, ये हो गया. अभी फिनिश कैसे करना है. नाउ इट इज voluminous part. If you see all the chapters together and the syllabus that is mentioned, ठीक है, कोर सिलेबस जो इन्होंने मेंशन कर रखा है वो भी बहुत बल्कि है. ठीक है, आई वुड लाइक आई से कि बहुत आसान होता है, एक दिन में तुम एक चैप्टर खत्म कर सकते हो आराम से. नहीं कर सकते कुछ चैप्टर्स, यू कैन नॉट. ठीक है, इट विल टेक सम टाइम. एंड ऑल्सो भाई एक ही दिमाग है, यू आर ऑल्सो फोकसिंग ऑन योर पेपर. ठीक है, वो भी पेपर है साथ साथ. जैसे लॉ के, अगर इफ यू आर अ लॉ स्टूडेंट एंड इफ यू आर राइटिंग यूजीसी नेट, तो आज तक के जितने पेपर्स तुमने पढ़े हैं ना, उसमें से वो कुछ भी पूछ सकते हैं. एंड आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट द जनरल पेपर्स और द बेसिक पेपर्स. ठीक है, एंड इवन इफ यू टेक द बेसिक पेपर्स, यू बीइंग अ लॉ स्टूडेंट नो दैट बेसिक पेपर्स में ही कम से कम 10 पेपर्स आ जाएंगे, है ना. स्टार्टिंग फ्रॉम कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन टू कॉन्ट्रैक्ट टू क्रिमिनल लॉ इंक्लूडिंग एविडेंस एक्ट, आईपीसी. ठीक है, ये सारे तो बेसिक पेपर्स में आ गए. ठीक है, सब कुछ बेसिक पेपर्स ही इतने हैं. और बाकी तो ये आज की डेट में आईटी एक्ट हो गया, आईपीआर हो गया, कमर्शियल लॉज हो गए, सब पूछते हैं. ठीक है, तो हैंडलिंग पेपर 2 इज ऑल्सो देयर, वो तुम भूल नहीं सकते हो. जस्ट बिकॉज यू नो सम स्टफ अबाउट योर पेपर डज नॉट मीन कि तुम उसे पूरा का पूरा ही छोड़ दो, साथ साथ तो तुम्हें पढ़ना पड़ेगा. तो हाउ टू फिनिश. ठीक है, तो हाउ टू फिनिश में सबसे पहले आई वुड सजेस्ट गो फॉर द इजीएस्ट चैप्टर्स फर्स्ट. ठीक है, कॉम्प्रिहेंशन तुम्हें करना नहीं है. कॉम्प्रिहेंशन इज ओनली अ मैटर ऑफ प्रैक्टिस एंड योर रीडिंग हैबिट, राइट. वो तुम छोड़ दो, हटा दो. Just do not even consider it as a chapter. You can begin with mathematical reasoning, logical reasoning, ठीक है, teaching aptitude, research aptitude, data interpretation. इन पांचों में तुम्हें जो easiest लग रहा है, सबसे आसान, you can pick up that chapter first. और फिर इन्हीं कैटेगरीज में, यही 4-5 चैप्टर्स में से जो तुम्हें उसके बाद थोड़ा टफ, थोड़ा टफ, थोड़ा टफ, इन्हीं पांचों को पहले प्लीज फिनिश इट अप. Please, it is my suggestion because it feels good, na. It feels good when your mother says that please read one chapter and I'll take you to dinner tonight. Right, it feels good, it feels rewarding, as if I have done something. So if you complete 5 chapters, just the sound of it that I finished something, right, और तुमने गलत कुछ नहीं किया, you've actually finished 50% of it, it will feel good. ठीक है, then go for the toughest part. और toughest parts में भी तुम्हें पता है कि आईसीटी पीपल डेवलपमेंट एंड एनवायरनमेंट से आसान है. ठीक है, तो गो फॉर आईसीटी फर्स्ट, है ना. देन पीपल डेवलपमेंट एंड एनवायरनमेंट में यू कैन बिगिन बाय लिसनिंग टू द वीडियोस फर्स्ट. वो सुन लिया, फिर तुम बेसिक सिलेबस पढ़ लो. ठीक है, एंड फिर वो हायर एजुकेशन सिस्टम कंप्लीट कर लो. हायर एजुकेशन सिस्टम में इफ यू आर फाइंडिंग द नेम्स डिफिकल्ट और रिमेंबरिंग द हायरार्की is a tough task for you, make a flow chart, make anything, pick some highlighters, है ना, of the favorite colors you like. ठीक है, कुछ फ्लो चार्ट बना लो, कुछ बुलेट पॉइंट्स बना लो और मेक अ माइक्रोसॉफ्ट वर्ड डॉक. ठीक है, इफ यू आर अ पर्सन हु फेवर्स लैपटॉप, अपने तरीके से पढ़ो, मेक सम नोट्स इन in a pretty good manner. Notes उस तरह के बनाओ कि तुम लास्ट मोमेंट पे देखो और तुम्हें उससे बोरिंग फीलिंग नहीं आए. You feel good about it. ठीक है ना? Do something like that. Remember, you used to do school projects not for the assignment part of it, but for the part where you got to show your calligraphy skills. है ना? या फिर तुम्हारा नया हाइलाइटर का कि देखो मैंने एक नया हाइलाइटर खरीदा था ना, I used to make that project, right? or for your covering skills पे cover करते थे हम लोग different colors of paper से, because we were allowed to do that in a project. Consider these chapters as your project. It is actually nothing more than a project. ठीक है, once you qualify UGC ने nobody is going to ask you क्या किया था, कैसे किया था और अब याद है या नहीं. But for this point of time it is essential. तो जिस भी तरीके से you are able to trick your mind, please follow that pattern and finish it. ठीक है. अब there are various students who come up to me, and I'm pretty sure there would be again some students who would be coming up to me कि मैम अब तो सिर्फ एक महीने कुछ 15 days बचे हैं, कुछ हो सकता है क्या? am I still eligible, or should I even write the examination because I know nothing of paper one? Then again I'll say कि तब तो what you can do is pick up the previous year questions, एकदम questions ही उठा लो. ठीक है. ऐसे तो आई ऑलवेज से कि जब तक तुम्हारे कॉन्सेप्ट्स क्लियर नहीं है, जब तक यू हैव नॉट अंडरस्टूड व्हाट इज मेंशन्ड इन द चैप्टर्स, प्लीज डू नॉट पिक अप द प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चन पेपर्स. अदरवाइज तुम अपने आप को इवैल्यूएट ही नहीं कर पा रहे हो ना. यू आर नॉट एबल टू नो कि 50 में तुम्हें मार्क्स कितने आ रहे हैं. व्हाट्स द यूज? ठीक है. बट इफ यू हैव ओनली 15 days लेफ्ट और से 1 month लेफ्ट, तो 1 month में तो यार तुम्हें पढ़ते पढ़ते ही लग जाएगा, तो तुम पेपर्स कब सॉल्व करोगे, है ना? तो व्हाट यू कैन डू इज, इफ यू हैव फिनिश्ड 1 chapter या 2 chapter या जैसे भी पढ़ रहे हो, धीरे धीरे पढ़ते रहो, पर सॉल्व 1 paper ऑल्सो डेली. ठीक है. तो कुछ नहीं तो एटलीस्ट तुम्हारी टाइम मैनेजमेंट हो जाएगी. यू विल अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट हाउ टू मैनेज टाइम. ठीक है. यू विल ऑल्सो अंडरस्टैंड द पैटर्न ऑफ इट, सीइंग द क्वेश्चंस ईच एंड एवरी टाइम. यू विल ऑल्सो अंडरस्टैंड कि किस तरह के क्वेश्चंस हर बार आते हैं. ठीक है. सम काइंड ऑफ क्वेश्चंस आर रिपीटेड एवरी ईयर. यू विल also understand that. ठीक है. और फिर तुम क्या करोगे? You will pick up those questions. Also, while solving, you will also understand what are your strengths and weaknesses. Even if you are a person who have just started reading it and you have only 15 days or 1 month time in your hand, but if you are able to understand your strengths and weaknesses even at that point, तो तुम क्या करोगे? फटाफट अपने जो strengths हैं उसको side रखोगे, that I am already good at it, I should focus on the weaknesses. If you're not able to solve data interpretation questions, so solve 10 of it daily. ज़्यादा कर दो, पर करो, because you have understood that you are not able to solve those questions when you saw it in previous year question papers. ठीक है. तो ये होती है strategy. You'll have to develop it accordingly. कितना वक्त है तुम्हारे पास is also will also help you to define your strategy. ठीक है. कम टाइम है तो साथ साथ पढ़ो, साथ साथ पेपर सॉल्व करो, बट प्लीज सॉल्व द प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चन पेपर्स. इट इज मोर इम्पोर्टेंट देन सॉल्विंग द क्वेश्चंस फ्रॉम ईच चैप्टर. वो तुम इग्नोर भी कर सकते हो जब तुम पढ़ रहे हो ना. तो जैसे if you have finished teaching aptitude and if you have not solved any questions of teaching aptitude because you are low on time, उससे ज्यादा जरूरी ये है कि तुमने कम से कम 10 साल प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चन पेपर सॉल्व कर रखे हैं, because that is going to make you confident. ठीक है. About yourself, about the pattern, about your own strengths and weaknesses, and what should be your strategy or the last minute preparation techniques of yours, right? So this is the basic gist of it. Now suggestions, I'd start by saying ki pick up a good book first, and I always repeat KVS Madan because I referred that book. I found that simple enough. ठीक है. लेकिन ऐसा हो सकता है कि you find some random ABC book. For instance, KVS Madan, मुझे लोगों ने बोला था to follow I think Universal के books for paper 2, but I did not find that appealing. ठीक है. I went to the market and I searched through books. ठीक है. And I was suggested by one of my friends, ठीक है, that go for JK Upadhyay. ठीक है. For paper 2. अभी JK Upadhyay is a complete book. पूरा UGC नेट का आता है. It comprises of paper 1 and paper 2 as well for law. ठीक है. Paper 2 is of law. So I did not find उसका paper 1 appealing. So I left paper one from JK Upadhyay and I read paper one from KVS Madan, while I read paper two from JK Upadhyay. And these are the only two books which I referred. Mind it, these are the only two books which I referred. Please find a good book, a book which is able to make you understand. Now, which is able to make you understand, ये पहली पॉइंट होगी. दूसरी चीज क्या देखोगे किताब में, which is going according to the syllabus. क्योंकि बहुत सारी किताबें ऐसी होती हैं, आई विल नॉट टेक द नेम्स, ठीक है, बट देयर आर मेजोरिटी ऑफ बुक्स, ठीक है, मार्केट में तुम्हें कई मिलेंगे, ठीक है, एंड व्हाट दे डू इज दे डू नॉट गो अकॉर्डिंग टू द सिलेबस. वो कुछ भी बोल रहे होते हैं, है ना, एंड दैट वुड नॉट हेल्प यू आउट. It is the same as reading the bare acts of every act or legislation for appearing in net examination. I've been asked by various students कि मैम कौन से बेयर एक्ट से शुरू करें लॉ की पेपर की तैयारी करने के लिए. आई एम लाइक they'll ask you questions from special act of marriage which came for Muslim people. पढ़ो जाके उसका बेयर एक्ट निकालो, ठीक, ढूंढो, go, can you do that? ठीक है, can you read all the commercial laws which includes negotiable instruments act, sale of goods act, competition law, contract acts, company law, everything, और उसका बैरक पढ़ लोगे? Is it even human? ठीक है, तुम्हारी भी खुद की एक लिमिट है, you cannot. So ये वही बात हो गई, है ना. अगर पेपर वन भी तुम किसी बुक को रेफर कर रहे हो, इफ यू आर यूजिंग एनी बुक बिकॉज दैट इज इजी टू अंडरस्टैंड और यू आर एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड फ्रॉम दैट बुक, प्लीज सी टू इट कि वो सिलेबस अकॉर्डिंग ही जा रहा है. इट इज नॉट टॉकिंग एनी अबाउट एनीथिंग एल्स. ठीक है, फ्लारी लैंग्वेज के चक्कर में 2 पेज कुछ बोल दिया, टीचिंग एप्टीट्यूड के लिए शुरू किया था पर अभी तक टीचिंग एप्टीट्यूड का कुछ आया नहीं है सच. ठीक है, तो दैट्स अ कंप्लीट नो फॉर अ बुक. ठीक है, थर्ड इज कुछ भी हो जाए, wherever you are, whatever you are doing, 5 ही दिन बचे हैं तुम्हारे एग्जामिनेशन को, be thorough with the previous year question papers. ठीक है, previous year question papers के थ्रू अगर सिर्फ और सिर्फ you have solved your previous year question papers, I can write it down somewhere that you'll be able to solve at least 20 to 30 questions or at least attempt 20 to 30 questions of paper one merely by solving previous year question papers. So just Google previous year question papers paper 1 UGC net. You will find various of them. बहुत सारे आते हैं जो ऐसे combined form में होते हैं, like they have 10-year question papers in one PDF or 13-year question papers in one PDF. Just download it. ऐसे भी you are surfing the internet most of your time, ठीक है, just take some part of it and download this PDF, ठीक है, and go on solving it every day. ठीक है, right? So these are the suggestions I would say. And uh, if you have any doubts, just put it in the comments below. I'll be happy to help. And all the best for your net examinations as it is appearing soon. Thank you.